Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of CTRL ALT Listen. The advent of automation has revolutionized the landscape of the purchasing process, steering transformation shift in how consumers and businesses make buying decisions. Technology is reshaping every stage of the business process and subsequently the purchase journey. This evolution not only enhances efficiency, but also demands a re-evaluation of traditional business processes and embracing automation. Understanding its impact on the purchase process becomes crucial for staying competitive in an ever-increasing digitized marketplace. And today, we are going to delve deeper into this exciting topic with Mr. Irfan Tansel. With over 40 years of experience spanning across 3 continents, Irfan Tansel is recognized as one of the top 100 CEOs in the Middle East by Forbes, and he is driven to disrupt the automotive industry and to create a legacy. So Irfan, welcome to the show. I'm so glad to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. So Irfan, I'd like to ask you, what are some of the trends that are shaping the automotive industry from your perspective?
There's a lot happening right now. There are basically everything is driven by 3 main items, which I will go into, that drives all the changes that we are going through right now. One of which is the pollution.
Okay.
There is a lot of concern about Mother Nature, greenhouse gases, and if you could just imagine that 17% of the pollution is actually coming from the cars on the road. So that needs to be tackled. And second of which is the urbanization and congestion in the big cities.
Yeah.
Currently, about 56% of world population lives in the big cities.
Oh, wow.
And that is expected in 2050 to go all the way to 68%. So the cities are getting congested, and Dubai is obviously no exception to that. And a remedy to this is obviously technology platforms evolving and creating more spaces in the big cities for vehicles. And we will go into that a little bit later again. And the third one is the fatalities, because when you have too many cars on the road and whenever congestion is there, there's a lot of deaths. And just put it into perspective, 2 deaths every minute in the world.
2 deaths every minute. Wow.
And that's substantial loss of lives.
Yeah. So how do you, given all of this and the advance of technology, how have you seen AI and machine learning playing an integrated role in this evolution?
Yeah, so thank you. This is just to follow up from what I was saying. All these challenges are being addressed in our sector in automotive, with connected vehicles, with autonomous vehicles, with electric vehicles. So this evolution is coming to a platform where vehicles are more connected, technologically advanced. There are sensors in the cars that detects the movement and the behavior of the drivers, and AI learning gets generated. And then they adopt the technology of the vehicles and the behavior of the vehicles accordingly. So which causes then automation, which causes then a convenience to the driver and to the traffic. We all know about Google Maps now, but in the future, it's not us. It's going to be the cars that are talking to each other on the road to make the journeys a lot more convenient and a lot more easier and most importantly, a lot more safer.
Yeah, I think when you're speaking about it, I was reminded of an article I read the other day where it was talking about 2 AI machine learning capabilities started playing a game against each other, and it crashed the game, right? Because they were trying to outsmart each other. So, it leads me to my next point, that human integration in defining these sort of crucial systems and effective and sustainable automated systems. Can you share some examples around how human integration in designing these solutions for automotives?
Well, everything is created by the humans. So, the evolvement of the technology is substantially important right now. And if you take a look at what has been happening over the past 20 years, I'll just give you an example of what humans have done.
Okay.
Creating these technologies. I remember when we were talking about connected vehicles and ADAS, the adaptive safety measures. 20 years ago, I used to work with one of the German car manufacturers, luxury car manufacturers, and they had this a preventative system called Distronic. So the vehicle was adjusting its speed with the speed of the car in front of it.
Okay.
I'm not talking about today. I'm talking about 20 years ago.
Wow.
So I personally got used to that.
Yes.
And today it is no longer the distance and keeping the distance between you and the car in front. It's also calculating the car in front of that and measures the behaviors of every vehicle on the road and adjusts and prevents collisions and accidents. So it has come a long way.
Yeah.
And I think soon it's going to be autonomous. Soon there will be no more drivers, and the vehicles are going to be smart enough and technologically advanced enough to cater to our transportation needs and mobility needs.
Do you think as human beings today we trust enough in the technology for it to be completely autonomous?
Well, that's one of the biggest fear of everybody, right?
Yeah.
So because we human, we have a comfort zone. We want to be behind the wheel.
Yeah.
We want to be in control. We want to brake and accelerate whenever we want to. But that's a matter of time and evolution, right? It's people will get used to it. Getting into the car, sitting in the back, and reading newspapers.
That'd be great.
No more newspapers. It's a paper.
I mean, I think about myself. Like most cars today have adaptive cruise control.
Yeah.
I think you spoke about it, but I still find myself every time I sit behind the wheel and the adaptive cruise control is on, I still have my foot slightly above the brake pedal just in case that it doesn't slow down.
Well, I got used to it, so I don't do that anymore.
Oh, don't you?
My both feet are off the pedal.
Yeah.
And my wife, for example, she has never switched it on because she feels uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So there is this level of, a comfort and trust that needs to come in.
Yeah.
And it will come in over a period of time. You have to remember, we're a little bit older generation.
Exactly.
And the younger generation, Gen Zs are growing up with that.
Yeah, they're learning to drive by wire.
Exactly.
So if we step a little bit back, we spoke a lot about automation in the actual motor industry, but how has automation impacted buyer behavior?
I gave an earlier example of the cameras in the car that looks at and observes the driver's behavior. Again, one of those manufacturers I worked before, he would get into the car and then he would feel a little bit sleepy. And it will give you a warning that it is time for coffee, or that you need to brake now, or looking into the future. The cars are going to measure constantly the heart rate of the driver.
Yes.
And the vital signs of the driver, and warn in advance if, God forbid, if there was going to be a heart attack or something. So it is very preemptive. The technology is not only providing convenience, but also safety.
Okay. And so as a consumer or as a buyer, have you seen AI and automation impacting the processes and buying patterns of consumers?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the digital platforms and technology has evolved into one of the decision-making reasons for buyers. I can give you an example of what we have done. In 2017, we started a strategy session for midterm, and the plan was for 5 years. And one of its key pillar was about a new retail format. And we knew in 2017 that the technology is evolving and that customers were more focused on convenience and wanting to shop online.
Yeah.
And in 2019, 2 years later, we have developed a e-commerce platform as one of the first in our brand in the region, for sure, but overall one of the first. And we launched it in September 2019. And little we knew, 6 months later, COVID came.
Yeah.
And when COVID came, we have sold in the first month of COVID half of the volume in Abu Dhabi, half of the volume of our brand from the whole region, because nobody else had a platform.
Yeah.
And the customers were sitting in the comfort of their living room in the house, and were able to do a virtual walkthrough in the showroom, see the cars, talk to the salesman, and then when they needed a test drive, there was a driver at the door with the car for them to test drive. So we managed to carry on with our sales. And that was all possible because of technology and because of strategy and foresight. But most importantly, it was the convenience.
Yeah. And I think, as you said that, it jogged my memory. I mean, I'm originally from South Africa, and I remember when my wife and I moved to the UK 8 years ago, one of the first things that I was so fascinated of was that I could go onto a vehicle website, spec the car to exactly what I wanted it to be without having to speak to anybody, because I could understand each feature to my own knowledge. And in the end, it generated a QR code that I could just send to the dealership and say, here's the car. That's the car I want. And I could do it at my own convenience without the pressure of feeling that if I'm in the dealership, I need to buy the car. I could do it to exactly what. And it was so amazing because moving countries was one thing, but then also having the ability to completely automate a process that was generally a very stressful thing when you're going through was so amazing for me.
Yeah. You know, I can fully appreciate what you're saying. You know, the dealerships for a long time have benefited from the sheer pressure of giving time to a customer in the showroom and expecting the customer to buy.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So all this is gone now. You know, digital space has created a lot of convenience for consumers to take their time, to do their purchasing journey as and when they want, stop and go back and continue. And with availability of the information, you really don't have to go to any showroom. I mean, people still will need to go to showroom because everybody wants to feel and touch.
To look and feel,
And, you know, we have transformed our sales processes as well, where we, take the car to the customer.
But as an organization, as a CEO of an organization that has a marquee of brands, have you found that with all this automation and evolution, that it has brought in more competitors into your space and landscape?
Unfortunately, yes. I mean, globally, if you take a look at it, gone are the days of the main traditional car brands that you were competing with.
Yes.
The Germans against the Americans and Americans with Japanese.
Yeah.
Now we have competition from outside our sectors. We have, that Apple and Google are cooperating together to create a car in different dimensions, right? And then, in our dealership operations, for example, today you're talking to aggregators, people who have sat in their garages and created an app and able to tap into everybody's stock and selling cars or selling spare parts, which we didn't have in the past.
Yeah.
And again, we keep repeating the same, but it's very, very important. It's all about convenience of customer.
So having spoken about the competitive landscape that's now you've been confronted with in your industry, and as we continuously evolve with transformation, automation, what are some of the key considerations that businesses should take into account as they move forward?
Well, from dealership perspective, I think there's one major shift that, again, is happening, and it needs to accelerate even further mainly to move away from asset-based platforms to digital space, because the bricks and walls are no longer required. 20 years ago we would be talking to manufacturers about representing them, and then they would be saying, okay, in the city you need to have a showroom here and you need to have a showroom there, facility, and it was all about being closer to customers.
Yes.
And that's no longer required, because digital platforms and technology has already provided this closeness to the customer on the phone.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't need that. You will still need the sort of brand experience, customer experience centers for them to touch and feel, because we're talking about second largest purchase a customer does in their lives after buying house, a car. So they want to touch it and feel it and smell it.
Yeah.
But other than this, there is no need to have multiple facilities all over the place, and digital space and moving into web and being closer to customers is the key aspect going forward for all dealerships. And it's also much more cheaper.
Yeah, I think when you said that, I think about now when you walk into a shopping mall, you're starting to notice like vehicle experience centers built into the same ecosystem as a shopping mall. So your wife could be going to buy a handbag, but you could be going to look at a car, and you could get the same touch and feel in the same time that you in a shopping mall, as an example, which merges and blurs the lines between what people are doing.
Absolutely, and that's, I think, the reason for creation of malls, right?
Exactly.
Where again,
it's
convenience,
center,
everybody, you find everything wherever you go. And even car dealers have started having pop-up showrooms, temporary showrooms to display their cars. And where do you want to be? You want to be there where the population is, and the population, especially in this part of the world, they're in the malls.
Yeah. Irfan, thank you so much for joining us. I think in closing, I'd like to ask you, what are your top 3 takeaways for our audience today?
I think we should all not forget about the environment. And I think we all live in this world, and we want this world to be as beautiful as it is today and going forward. And we have to leave this world as beautiful as possible to our children and the next generations. So I think the conscience of environment is very, very important. My next thought would be, while we are moving into technology, while we are moving into innovation and creating AI and cyberspace and everything else, we should not forget the human impact to everybody's life, because behind everything that's being generated, it's the humans that does the work. So let's don't separate them from what's happening. And you said 3.
Yes.
I can list up more.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. If those are your
I mean,
key
from business perspective, look, I guess every business needs to have a strategy, needs to have a direction where they want to go, but strategies and plans don't work by itself. It again goes back to humans, and it goes back to the teams and people that makes the brand and the business is what it is. So, showing empathy and leading by example and having trust on your people is very, very important to create success.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate the insights you've given us today, and for taking the time to join us on this podcast series. I look forward to having you back with us very soon to share even more as we evolve in the automotive industry. Thank you very much for joining us on the channel. We really appreciate your time. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you are alerted of all the latest opportunities and new series that we have. Thank you very much.